Hey, I'm just going to have a quick video on how to do some AI manipulation within Photoshop. So first, I've just gone to Google. I found an image that looks all right. This one I've already gone and right-clicked. I've saved it, and I think it's best to save your photos rather than just trying to copy and paste them in here. So I'm going to go Open, and I'm going to select this one here. I've called it Trees. Um, if it's in a different format, it sometimes gets you to just confirm the levels. You can edit it if you want before bringing it in, but if you just want the photo, I'm just going to go Open. Now I've got it in here, and that is my background layer. So it's not like there's another layer of different pixel dimensions. That's the image. That is all the data there. I've just unlocked it. And now I can go. So option one, we might want to do a sky replacement. So if I go Edit, make sure I'm on the layer, Edit, sky replacement. Here I've got a range of different skies that I can select from depending on what kind of lighting I want. I can go blue skies, spectacular, sunsets. Now this one here is a bit more of a sunset-ish lighting, so I can kind of play with whatever one I think might suit. Let's say I like that one. Don't mind that one at all. That one looks fairly natural, matches the lighting. I can also then play. You can notice how the edge shifts. So the edges of the sky, they kind of, do I want them darkened or lightened? I can fade the edges. If I turn it down, I can like overflowing from the sky into the foreground, basically. Do I want it lighter or do I want it darker? You can play around with it if you want. Change the brightness. That's an obvious one. I'm going to leave it fairly neutral because it was good how it was. If you want to make it colder and bluer or warmer and yellower, you can. Cool. Let's say I'm happy with all of that as it is. You can do some foreground adjustments as well, but they're for you to explore. I'm going to go OK. Now you notice here there's a whole bunch of new stuff gone in. Now for the sake of this, if you're going to do any other techniques, a sky replacement is one of the ones you should do first, particularly if you're about to do a generative expand and make the picture bigger, because it will only expand that layer. It won't expand all this data here, and the sky will therefore look different. It will use the sky for this layer. It won't actually use the sky for the rest. So for this, I'm actually going to select all the layers and I'm going to merge them together. So now that's my actual picture. It means I have lost that original data. That's true, but for the next manipulations, it's an important step. For the next one, I'll do a simple one first. I'm going to do some content-aware fill, which is an AI technique for removing objects. In this particular case, I might want to remove this cloud. So I select around the cloud, I go Edit. Again, make sure I'm selected on the layer, which is now called Sky Replacement Group. I'm going to call it background. Cool. So I'm on that layer. I've made my selection. I go Edit, Content Aware Fill. Now, Content Aware Fill, whatever is highlighted in green, it uses to inform. It's like an AI prompt. The highlighted green material is the prompt. What do I want to fit in there? And so for me, who wants this blue sky, I'm going to remove everything. And you can see my preview here, it's gone. For the sake of this, if I removed all the green material, and let's say I added highlighting here, my prompt is trees. So inside that circle, you can see it's clearly trying to put trees. Not what I want for this, but just to help you understand, that is how it works. So I'm going to get some sky. And again, the best sky to grab for the same kind of lighting and tone is actually all around the edges. Okay, if I got dark sky over here, it would put a darker sky there and it would look like it stands out. If I'm happy with it, I'm going to push enter and done. Now this is not destructive editing because there is still, just going to deselect, there's still the data for the cloud. So I can put the layer on and make it visible and it blocks it. So you'll see that it's actually just a shape now that matches that exact tone. So that's AI technique number 2. For the sake of this, I'm just going to merge them all together as I go just to keep it real simple. So I've done sky replacement. I've done content aware fill. Now I might do generative expand. Now I might expand a little bit this way I might expand a little bit this way. Maybe I make it wider. And I right click on mine and go generative expand. You may have a prompt box that comes up automatically, similar to this, for generative expand. And for the prompts, you just put nothing, just push generate. This will take, I don't know, 10 to 15 seconds as it thinks about it, and it's going to interpret the rest of your picture, what's at the edges, and it's going to create new panels on either side. Now, this is why I did my sky replacement first and why I merged it. Alternatively, if you did your expand, you would have to get the other layers that it's about to create here. You'd have to merge them together and then do your sky replacement because the sky replacement can only happen across one layer. Now you can see I've got my picture here. I could turn off the background copy and you can see I've got my two panels. So if I did a sky replacement on the background layer, on this layer, it would only happen here, and the ones either side of it would have a different looking sky. So that's just a little trick, but if you followed my steps here, you're fine. That's a nice looking photo. Love it. It's great. Now, I'm going to show you another way how this is a mixture of generative fill and generative expand. So I've got my crop tool. I'm going to do an expand again, but this time I'm going to go down and I'm going to put, I've gone down quite a bit, and don't be shy to do big expands. Let it be creative. For here, when I do generative expand, I'm going to put a prompt in. And now this time I'm going to say lake or add lake or something like that. So now as it expands, it's going to make the picture bigger because it is a generative expand. I've used the crop tool. But as it expands, it's going to also try to think, how can I get a lake in here? Now, one thing I didn't look at when I did my previous generative expand, you actually do have options. Now, interestingly enough, this one here has, rather than, as I look down, I feel like I'm up in the mountains. This one here has kind of like changed the, it's made it interpret like the base of the trees is just there. I feel like when I'm looking at it, I'm up higher and the lake should be down lower. I don't know. That looks pretty cool. I actually like it a lot. But if I don't like that one, I have other options here. And well, that one there's got a bit of a weird green texture on the surface. Do I want to see the trees? Um, I think I like this one the best. I think I like the first one the best. So now I've done a generative expand. I've actually done two layers of generative expand. If I want to, I can merge them all together. I can treat them separately. It's just if you're doing editing across the different panels or layers, it's easy if they are actually all together. So I'm going to merge these. Um, uh, some people might say you shouldn't, I guess, if you want to refine your prompts or change and select the other AI things later. But for the sake of this and keeping it simple, I'm merging all of them as I go, just so I've got my one picture. I'm not saying that's best practice, but it just keeps my screen simple here. Now, the other option for generative fill is to select an area and give it a prompt. Now, for me, what kind of prompt could I put into this picture? Maybe I select here at the edge, and and sometimes you should maybe select with a more of a refined tool than just lasso, because it's not gonna put anything there outside the lasso. So that's worth noting. Maybe in that area, maybe that's what I want. I'm going to right click and go generative fill. I think you can also go edit generative fill. I'm just used to right clicking. Generative fill. Now here, what do I want? Maybe I might put, I don't know, city or something like that. Maybe I'd done it on the water and I'd said jetty, or a boat, kayak. Maybe it was in the sky and I did bird or moon, something like that. Whatever you can think of, play around with it, explore. And I have got here, let's put a city in. Do I like that one? Do I like that one? Do I like that one? I kind of like this third one, I think. Um, it's like a little town buried on the hillside there. Looks like it'd be a nice place to live. So yeah, play around with that. But again, so generative fill, you can circle an object. I could say, hey, put a jetty here, or I'm gonna start a new one. Maybe I say put a kayak, or no, I'll say boat. I'll let it be creative there. So you can do heaps of stuff with AI. So we've done a sky replacement. We've done some removal of clouds using content-aware fill. We've done some generative expand to make it bigger. We've done some generative fill to put a city on the hill and play around with like different boat options now. That one there, I like it because it actually uses the water for the reflection, so it does some pretty cool techniques. I don't love that one as much, just the angle seems off. That one's probably got the best angle that aligns with the photo. And there I've got my AI photo. Hopefully that's been helpful. Now go and have a play with your own ones and see what you can do.